Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Power Man Podcast. My name's Roy Paquette, and I know you know that, but I just like to remind myself how grateful I am to be sitting in this chair. Folks, when we went to 5 days, you were out there just killing it. You were liking, subscribing, sending powerful DMs to me, and I loved it. Well, we went to 7. I wasn't sure how you were going to react, and let me just tell you, you folks have done a fantastic job. Our Sunday episodes are now some of our best, and that's because of you. If you're not out there doing what you're doing, I don't get to sit here and do what I'm doing. So grateful to all of you. Now, most of you are friends of the program, which means you know what's coming next. You got to pay a couple bills. So let me get to my sponsor real quick. And I need to take a sip of my preferred beverage. Man, that's good stuff. Holy cow. Deep, dark, rich, bold, and beautiful. Just like my wife. You guys know what we're drinking. It is Freedom Hill Coffee at Freedom Hill Coffee on Instagram. Look them up, check them out. They do all the right things for all the right reasons, and they support veterans, which is one of the biggest reasons why we support them, including the gentleman who's on with me today. Folks, if you're a veteran out there, thank you for your service. Thank you, sir, for your service. And you know we love you. And I'm glad that you have found a home here with Power Man. Your support means everything to me. Folks, check them out. Freedom Hill Coffee. It's at Freedom Hill Coffee on Instagram. And tell them Power Man sent you. Now, I'm going to take another big old sip of this so I can keep up with this young buck across the table from me. All righty, here we go. All right, let's bring out to the stage, all right, to the mic. Leadership mentor, children's book author. He wrote a book called Crow from the Shadows. Parenting advocate, Marine officer, future author of Lead Last, which I can't wait to hear about. Founder of Parent Child Connect, which we're going to hear more about today. Please welcome to the show, Olaolu Ogunyemi. Did I get it
Yeah,
right?
you got that right. You did a great job, Roy. You'd
Boy,
be surprised. I grew up in Louisiana, and there's people that still cannot pronounce my name. So, man, you did great for your first time.
well, I appreciate that. All right, Olaolu, man, brother, go ahead and tell everybody who are you? What are you about? What brings you here today, man?
Absolutely. So, first of all, I got to say, I really appreciate what you're doing. Creating a space for men to come and learn and grow is really awesome. So, what you're doing is awesome. You've been doing it for a long time. I went and did my research about you, and it's really cool. I really appreciate everything you're doing and having me on to run my mouth for a little while and hopefully give some nuggets that people can take. I am, as I mentioned, I'm Olaolu Ogunyemi. I'm a major in the United States Marine Corps. I am a parent. I have three beautiful children. 50-year-old girl, 11-year-old boy, and 6-year-old girl, and we'll understand how that dynamic works out a little bit later. I'm married to my wife. Actually, all three of the children are ours, and it's just been a blessing to have her in my life. I am a children's book author, as already mentioned. The award-winning Crow from the Shadow was the first book I wrote. I also have Billy Dipper's Time to Shine and Horace the Horsefly. All of those are written to inspire children. Really, the Horse the Horsefly is exactly what it sounds like. It's a very silly book, but it's for that younger age range, 2 to 5. They're practicing animal sounds, sight words, so on and so forth. Grew up in Ruston, Louisiana, as I already alluded to. Graduated from Grambling State University. I was the fifth of six children, and also was five out of six. The sixth one, my little brother, decided not to go to Grambling, but we all graduated from Grambling State. Great university, great opportunities that came from being there. And of course, from there, after getting my degree in computer information systems, I decided not to really follow the corporate path like I started in, and decided to go active duty. And I commissioned the United States Marine Corps. And the rest is history. I've met some phenomenal people across the branches. Of course, the Marine Corps is the greatest. I'm not even going to. That's not even an argument. Hands down, we are the greatest branch in the organization. But yeah, we have the opportunity to meet people, grow, visit places, and it's just been a great opportunity to learn and experience. So, Roy, again, thanks for having me.
I appreciate all that, man, really and truly. And you threw down a lot on your opener. I love that. First of all, let me just say congratulations on the marriage and the children. I mean, because we need more of that in this world, man, and that's just fantastic. It really is.
Thank you.
And secondly, I've never met a Marine who didn't say the exact same thing as you just said when he came on. So I know a lot of Marines, man, and every one of you guys all absolutely to a man believe that you are the absolute best. And you may be. I don't know. I don't take sides, man. There's I
It
don't
must be
take
true.
sides.
If every Marine you've met said it, it's 100% true then.
I mean,
That's how statistics
every
work.
one of you guys, I love that. I really, really do. But no, man, you gotta have that kind of pride and that kind of confidence if
Mhm.
you're going to go out and do the job that you all do. So power to you, brother. Now, I got a couple questions about all this other stuff, obviously. First of all, and maybe it might be the biggest one. I'm looking at this young guy, great shape, good looking, world in front of him, Marine officer, right? If you take that package and then you go, children's book. I, it just doesn't exactly look like it's on the same menu. So I'm like, okay, got to be a story there. What makes, Olaolu, because I want to write a children's book, multiple children's books, by the way. Congratulations. And this is what they're going to be about, and this is what I'm trying to accomplish. What's the purpose? What brought you there?
Absolutely. So there's two reasons. The first, and I'll start it close to home, is I had a daughter. I graduated college at 22. I was married and I had a 3-year-old. So I was a young father. And it taught me lessons in how much I did not know and how much I didn't know that I didn't know. But one of the biggest things I was struggling with is I grew up in a house. My two older sisters are 14, 12 and 14 years older than me. And then I have my brothers. We're spaced out by 2 years until my younger brother's 5 years difference. And the reason that matters is because I grew up in this home where we just basically acted like battering rams. We butt heads, we play, we do all these great things, and we wrestle, and I play sports, and that's all I knew. And now God has decided to put a daughter into my life, and I'm like, I have no idea to do with this little human being. And so it was one of those experiences that I had, and I was like, man, I don't know what to do. And so I thought about it. My dad always joked, "Well, there's no manual for raising children." I was like, "You're right." So I started thinking about, okay, how do I now create experiences with my daughter, intentionally create those experiences so we can grow that connection together and have conversations and so on and so forth. And it just reminded me of what my mom used to do with us, and that's sit down and read. And I thought it was a great idea to write a story for my children that I could sit down and read with them and engage with. And intentionally, that's all I was going to do. I was just going to print out a story. It's going to be something goofy that we put together, and we're going to sit down and read together. And then came Crow from the Shadow. I was actually most of it, and we could talk about how exploring your ideas and wandering is important and having those low cognitive activities so you can start exploring those ideas. But really, I was in traffic on the 5 in San Diego. And if you've ever been out there, you know that that's one of the worst places. I think the only other place that's worse than that, as I'm learning here in the DC area, is the 95. But sitting out there on the 5, I came up with this idea for Crow from the Shadow. And the message that I'm conveying, which leads to the second reason I wrote it, is that no matter where you're from, no matter what the shadow is for you, there's nothing or anyone that can tell you that you cannot be what you're destined to be in life. You have the power to determine your own future and your fate. And that's the second reason I wrote it, because I grew up in a crowd that my dad and mom did not want me with, but I ran with those guys. And every last one of them, if they're not in prison today, they're in and out of the penitentiary system. I was blessed to have parents who sat down with me and mentored me and knocked me inside the head when I needed it, which was often. But I didn't have, I noticed that they didn't have that same level of community and commitment. And a lot of us, we aspired to be one or two things, entertainers, or we wanted to be rappers, which is also an entertainment industry. So we wanted to play sports or rap or do something in music. And now I'm trying to go back home, and when I have the opportunity, which is the best thing, that connecting back to my high school or connecting to a library back home, have the opportunity to sit in front of these young men and show them that there's another way. You can be a Marine officer, but then you could just one day wake up and decide to be a children's book author, and that's okay too. And there's other ways to get out of the environment that you're in and become who you're destined to be.
Wow. All right. I mean, that's a fantastic story. Absolutely wonderful. What you started to go off a little bit on the creative vibe. Where were you going with that? Because that sounds like an interesting thing to tap into real quick.
Absolutely. So what I realize is that should be an important part of all of our lives. Right now, a lot of us, we get limited by our own inability to come up with creative thought. And one thing I always tell people is that you should become infatuated with daily daydreaming. It sounds ridiculous because we got in a lot of trouble for daydreaming as kids. But now here I am, some random guy, some random Marine who writes children's books saying that you should daydream. And I want to encourage people to do that every day, to just think, just have time where you can just let your mind wander, and you'll be surprised how much that brings in some of the most creative ideas. And honestly, if you study the most successful people out there, that is something they do. They go out for walks, and they go out, they drive. When I say low cognitive things, I mean like literally sitting in traffic where you're stopped. I don't mean like sort of be daydreaming and running off the road and stuff. Please don't do that. But do things that are low cognitive, that you're used to doing, that don't require that much mental engagement, and just wander. Think about, let your mind go, let it explore some of those lesser explored places, especially as life has beat us down over the years. Go back and daydream, dream again, and think about what would it be like if I decided to, and then fill in the blank. And if more people did that, I start with the most off the wall thing, and then I walk myself back from there. I say, what would it be like if I became a professional Olympic ice skater? I can't ice skate, right, Roy? So once I do that, it allows my brain, that encourages my brain now to release every last limitation there is out there, to imagine myself, the non-ice skater, now skating in the Olympics. And I always think of Blaze of Glory with Will Ferrell. But the main thing, the thing that I always like to remind myself is that now you've removed all the limitations and the judgments and all those other things. So when you start walking it backwards to say, okay, I want to be an author, or I want to be a doctor, I want to go to medical school, or I want to go back to school and become a lawyer, or whatever your thing is, now you actually have something that's realistic and you're starting to be like, okay, I can do that. If I could picture myself as an ice skater, I could picture myself as a doctor or an author or whatever it may be. And really, that's what I mean by daily wandering.
I like that. So it's kind of like treating your brain like a muscle. You got to stretch it
Mhm.
out past where you normally would stretch it so that you can get the gains and you can gain in the
Absolutely.
other area. That's interesting. I like that.
Absolutely.
I like that. Sounds like an interesting exercise. Man, where'd you learn that? Where'd you pick that up?
I learned it just literally trying it for myself. And there's actually some more teachings that come from, I'm trying to remember his name, but he's been in creative thinking for over 35 years at SUNY University.
Hmm.
And I heard a lecture of his, and it was phenomenal teaching. Sorry that his name escapes me right now.
Oh, hey, I just was
But
curious.
yeah, phenomenal. I mean, he came up, he's talked about it, and I was like, oh man, I've done that for a long time now. But yeah, that's really what it's about.
Nice. All right. Now, you're the founder of Parent Child Connect. I can only assume this has something to do with the books.
Mhm.
Am I close? Why don't you
No,
tell
you're
us
spot on.
about what is that? What made you come up with that and what does it do?
Absolutely. So in one of those wandering moments that I'm talking about, I was thinking about now that I have this first book, and it's turned into something again that's grown beyond what I thought it was going to go. I thought it was just going to be for me and my children, and it's grown beyond that. So now what can I do to take these other ideas and cage them in a way to where I can give a package to somebody else? And what is the purpose of me writing these books in the first place? Well, that's where the Parent Child Connect brand came from. That's how the website came about. It's a website that's dedicated to providing resources for parents, teachers, mentors, and caregivers so they can create teachable and memorable moments with their children. One of the things about the books that I have is that they all end with questions in the back. Continue the conversation questions. That means throughout the story, you and the child are enjoying, but if you can't figure out where to go from there, well, you could just start with the questions. Just read it, read, what is the fun fact about stars, astronomy, or tell me fun facts about crows or whatever. There's always something that we can learn from these books. And then the second part is what was the true meaning of the story? And these are very open-ended questions in order to get some critical thinking from the child, and of course the guidance from the father or the mother sitting there talking to him. So that's really what it came from. That book series started it to where we're creating resources where parents and teachers, or parents and children, are sitting down together to establish that emotional connection. And then it grew from there to providing all kinds of resources for parents, teachers, mentors, and caregivers, because I believe it takes community to provide that same kind of connection and direction to children.
Hmm. Yeah, notice you have a link for free resources. That's what you're referencing right now.
That's correct. So we have several free resources. Well, the way we cage them is by improving the four areas, physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional. So you have all kinds of resources there that you can help you improve in those areas. And again, you can take those same resources and share them with your children as well.
Wonderful. All right. I love anything that encourages, fathers and mothers and kids to sit together and spend time and, grow. So, I mean, I think that's fantastic. You're doing this. Um, the you're very young for this kind of thing to be feeling like the father thing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, usually takes us, to be like, almost as old as me. Not quite that old. I mean, very few people are that old, but almost as old as me before you're looking back on your life and you're thinking about teaching and stuff. So you seem very impassioned about this. This is just from having kids.
Well, it's from having kids because I do love my kids.
Right.
But there's one individual I grew up with, and I always credit him with this story, and he doesn't even know it. But I credit him because we grew up together. We were right beside each other, and there's a certain thing that happened. Number one, his father wasn't in the home, and mine was, and that created already that was a norm in the area I was in. We sat beside each other in the classroom until he acted out, in which case he was put to the back. But if I were to act out in class, I know that there's this man, he's about 5'8", maybe 5'7" on an angry day, that they will call, and he will show up to the school. And you didn't want to see him cross the threshold of the school. He's a small guy, but he had a large presence. He didn't come from Nigeria to the United States to have children who were going to fail out of school. That just wasn't going to happen. But as I look back on that in retrospect, I thought about all the things that I was doing that were encouraged by my friend. But then I thought again about all the things that I was doing to encourage him to do the right thing. And the answer was an overwhelming nothing. And that hit me very hard. It's like, as a child, and I get it, we're children, we're not thinking it at that level. But as a child, I did nothing to help him get on the right path. I didn't offer him to, sit down with my dad. My dad did try to extend his own olive branch to him and bring him in, but he didn't. Wasn't as receptive. But I didn't offer him anything. I didn't tell him, "Hey, let's go to church." I didn't any of that stuff. I didn't say any way help him in any way to change the trajectory of his life. And I just believe that that's part of the problem that we run into at times, in that we don't create the same level of community as we probably should, and to build other people up. So, really, that's where my passion comes from, is to take people like this individual and hopefully get them at a young age to help them grow and develop into the person that they're meant to be.
I appreciate you sharing that because, I just had a feeling there was some story behind it somewhere.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I do, man. Sometimes when you smell a story, you're like, okay, what is the story? What's going on here? I love what you had to say about your dad, though. That's
Mhm.
that's what I always tried to do for my kids. I'm like, both my boys are much bigger than I am at this point, and I'm not little, but even then, it was like, really, you'd want me having to come into school like
Mhm.
ever? That's just not going to happen. So I think they felt the same way. So
Absolutely.
mission
I
accomplished.
bet.
But I love a lot of the stuff that you've talked about and you've mentioned several times. It seems to be faith based. Am I
Mhm.
picking that up correct?
You
So
are, yes.
the faith, I'm guessing, is important to you, and I guess so. The question is it, and where does that come from? Did that come from childhood? Is that something that you picked up later on? Tell me about that.
Absolutely. So it's something that my parents raised us. We were raised in the church. We all were musicians in the church. And in fact, we spent so much time in the church that I was absolutely tired of it as a child. I'm not even going to pretend. But the things that I learned, the values that I learned as a child, have stuck with me throughout my entire life. And that's where having that, we call it spiritual health as I think a society that we talk about spiritual health, and having something that not only guides our moral compass, but it gives us something bigger to live for, is just a beautiful thing. And for me, obviously, as you talked about, is Christianity. I believe that God has created me for a purpose and created all of us for a purpose. And it gives me a reason for waking up every day and going out and serving the community or finding a way to help somebody out. And the way I'm committed to doing this is I was blessed to actually be welcomed as a YouVersion content partner. And one of the things that we do is we provide Bible plans for the YouVersion Bible app. It's just a way for me to bring what I believe I've learned as a child growing up and taking all that and put it into a Bible plan that I think is, down to earth, thing that I can understand the way I talk and understand it. Because I've never, even in the church growing up, we were made to memorize verses and, we know the books of the Bible and all those kind of things. But it really didn't resonate with me until I started understanding how it applied in context of my life. And that was one of the biggest things when I started reading the Bible in context of my life and where I am in my leadership journey, where I am as a father, as a mentor, how it ties to my physical, emotional, and mental health as well. That's when I really started to establish that relationship with God and understand how I can apply all of this to be just a better leader, a better human, and better servant to everybody I come in contact with. So, yes, my faith has been a huge part of my life growing up, and it's going to remain that way for as long as I'm on this earth.
That's amazing. I mean, you're beaming talking about it, man. You really are. So I
Absolutely.
love seeing that in young people today. That's just absolutely fantastic. Um, all right. Well, we'll probably talk more about, those things as we go on here, but I really am interested to hear about you being the future author of Lead Last. And from what I have on your title, it says it's Lead Last. If we want to see lasting change in our communities, we have to build leaders who care more about service than the spotlight. Now, before I even asked a question, my head was like, "Pff, where are you going to find them?" Right? But that was a little pessimistic. So I'm like, let's not lead with that. We'll just, we'll throw it out. But um, what's the book about? And where does that come from?
Absolutely. So that description is actually perfect because that's part of why I titled it Lead Last. It's because it's 21 counterintuitive principles. So that way we could start finding or creating those leaders that you're referring to. Because I'm a huge advocate for people knowing that you're not born a leader. I know that's something that people talk about. Oh, he's a born leader. He's been that way since he was born. I just don't believe in that. I believe that we're all learned leaders, which means we learned how to be more emotionally intelligent. We learn how to educate ourselves. We learn how to talk to people and grow our relationship with others, connect with people. All these things that make a good leader, we learned it. Now, what we're working against, or I guess the thing that makes it counterintuitive or countercultural in ways, is that as Marines, for example, you heard the first thing that I said. It's almost the most egotistical thing I could have said. We are the best. And we are trained to be that way. We're trained to know that we're best because it's just the confidence that comes along with, being the best. But as leaders, when you walk into the room, we assume that we have to have this big ambiance about us because we teach that you have to have command presence, you have to fill the room with who you are. And what it does is it almost makes us create this alter ego of a person that we're not. Sometimes, for me personally, I turned into this guy who was yelling and trying to knife hand people in my first unit, and it was effective. And I put that in quotes for a reason because they were doing what I was saying because I was in a position of authority, but I wasn't influencing them, and I wasn't leaving a positive, lasting impact on their life. And that's what we're trying to get towards. Is trying to teach people how to learn how to lead better instead of taking the spotlight and saying, I'm King Leonidas and I have to be in the front because that's what we all have glorified, both in Hollywood and in society. But my real reason, my real purpose in life as a leader is to support and to serve and make sure that everybody has the resources they need to thrive. So really, that's the gist of the book. It's learning that you are not the first, you're the last, number one. And then number two, learning how to, by doing that and applying that, you're learning how to leave a lasting impact on the world or the organization that you're a part of.
Interesting. All right. Given the topic, you're talking to people who either are leaders and want to be better or want to be leaders. It sounds like, um, but there's a tone to the book. It sounds like.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
who are you writing the book like to? Who's that perfect reader? What do they look like? What do they sound like? Who is that person that you really are imagining when you're writing that book up?
Absolutely. So it's emerging leaders. So we're talking about those who are early to mid-career professionals. So that's anybody from, hey, I just took over a team last week and I just don't know what to do, all the way probably to about 10 to 15 years in the organization. is who I'm targeting. And what that is it's redefining and the way that we've looked at leadership. I broke it in three parts. The first, and this is why I say that target audience, because typically the younger you are, the more you're able to adjust. And I know we can fight that stigma, but statistically proven that the younger you are, the better the more receptive you are to change, and
Sure.
naturally.
Yep.
Uh, but the first part of the book is learning about yourself. Who are you? Because I think a lot of leadership books, a lot of the things that we talk about, we lead in by saying, well, it's not about you, it's about the people you're leading. And what that does is it doesn't give us an opportunity to have an introspective look at ourselves and then understand what we need to even know about ourselves before we can even think about leading somebody else. So I start there. I talk about knowing who you are. And it's going to make people cringe because the first thing I talk about is insecurities and what insecurities we have and how we can grow through those insecurities to become better leaders. Because especially as men, we don't like that word insecurities. The definition, and I'll tell you, the dictionary definition of insecurity is not anything that you would try to relate to an adult male who thinks that they have any form of masculinity. It's just not, it just doesn't think, it doesn't equal what I would want to think a leader should be. But really, insecurity is just about vulnerability and being able to show that, yeah, I can make mistakes while still being in charge. You're not losing control of where you are just because you've now admitted a mistake. Now, you don't have to uh, try to be like on some of these movies where they try to mimic the exact feeling. So oh, guys, I don't know what's going on. No, I wouldn't recommend that, right? So if you don't know what's going on, there's a way to project that. Hey guys, I'm glad to be here today. Let me tell you, right now we have a lot going on, and I really want to get to the heart of the issue, but I need your input. That's the same way of saying, hey guys, I don't know what's going on, but you're still projecting confidence in doing so. And I believe that's probably the better way to do it. So it starts off with getting to know who you are. Second part is getting to know who you lead, because again, you can't lead somebody who it should be intuitive, but we don't do a good job of it. You can't lead somebody if you don't know who they are. So we talk about how to do that. And then the last part is usually the fun part that people want to jump to, and that is how do you create a culture of self-starters and creatives? And so you take all three of those things, each one has seven principles within it, and we just talk about, I mean, I go in there and I call it counterintuitive for a reason, so it's gonna ruffle some feathers, but I talk about things like closed door policy instead of open door policy. Because I believe that the open door policy has become such a thing of either A, there's constant interruptions and you're not being productive, or B, it is an open door policy, but it has like this tiny asterisk, which means not everybody's coming into your office. It's just a few people are coming to your office, so you're not getting a true holistic view of the company. So I advocate for finding different ways to get information flow and connect with people instead of having open door policy. And I also talk about venting in the workplace, which I know a lot of people know that vent your frustrations, get it off your heart. Another thing I say that, is scientifically proven that you're burdening the person listening. And when you vent and it's heard out of context, you can truly cause a lot more toxic and a lot more harm than you would like to cause. So these are just a couple of ideas, a couple of things that I talk about throughout the book that just introduce the concept that what we have right now, or what we've been doing, has been effective to an extent. But as these new leaders come up, we need to start thinking about how to lead the generation that's currently being led. It's different from my dad's generation, from my generation even.
Yeah.
It's a new way of leading, and if we miss that mark and we do what sometimes we like to do, and we just say, "Well, it worked for me," and we fuss and drill it in and be more direct, we're going to cause people to shut us down, and eventually I think we'll hit a point to where we're not getting that effective returns that we think we're going to get.
Excellent. Excellent. So a lot of this is being aimed at business leaders then,
That's
it
correct.
sounds like, in terms of
Mhm.
the economy of it. So,
That's correct. Mhm.
okay, wonderful. I mean, granted, anybody, who needs leadership help or, can benefit from this for sure. Now, future author. So you just, I mean, what, you haven't got your act together on this yet? What's going on?
Yeah, so for that one, I've actually already published it, or excuse me, I've already written it, and
Ah,
it's in the process of being published. I'm working with a publishing company. I just signed with them, so I'm waiting for them to make the official announcement
oh,
before
okay.
I sit there and run my mouth. But I've signed with them, and we're going to go through the entire process of editing and things of that nature. Initially, I was going to self-publish, so I'd already got it edited. I'd already got it formatted. I even have a proof copy. But then I felt like that the message is so it's such a good message, as at least by some early reviewers and a couple of leadership experts that endorsed it. That I believe that putting the weight of a publisher behind it can really get the message out there in the way that we would like for it to be out there.
Excellent. Well, congrats on that, on getting a,
Oh,
a
thank you.
publisher. So that's hard to do
It
in
is.
in this world.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Very hard.
yeah. I mean, what briefly, what was that like?
Yeah, so I this is one of those things where you learn through failure. I
Right.
probably have Oof, I probably surpassed 300 rejection emails and no
Wow.
calls, no returns. So it's not a short process. All three of those children's books back there, I've pitched. I have other children's books I've pitched. I've have this leadership book that I've pitched to so many people, agents, and a lot of times what they're looking for is they're looking for somebody who already has this gigantic following and they just sort of brand it and they run with it.
Sure.
So I understand it and I understand why they do it. But it is a hard process. You just got to keep pitching because you can get hundreds of no's. All you need is one yes, and you can just go from there. Uh, that's where your self validation comes in to be, and you start saying, okay, I've read this thing, I've written this, I know it's good, I've done the research and all those things behind it. A good smile and energy ain't gonna get it for you, brother. You got to grind. You got to get in there and you got to
Right.
work hard to get what you want, and it's going to be discouraging at times. People who you thought were going to support you are not going to support you. There's people who you're going to support for years, and they're not going to support you. You got to be okay with that. You got to prepare for that ahead of time, and then just keep going. Keep applying, keep pitching it, and eventually somebody will pick it up. And I say that after I started writing in 2021. So that's 4 years of consistent pitching, and I finally got one of my books to a publisher who actually wanted to run with it. So uh, that's that's just for everybody to know how that worked.
Well, congratulations again, because like I said,
Thank you.
that's just absolutely a brutal process to go through. I've heard it from a lot of other guys we've had on the show who have gone through a
Mhm.
lot of those same things. So, power to you, man, for putting the pedal down and grinding away and getting that done. That's another
Thank
great
you.
message, great lesson. Um, the it really cracks me up about publishers because they want someone to have like 5 million followers or something,
Mhm. Mhm.
and our followers are never the ones who buy our stuff.
Nope.
It's
Right.
because they feel like they're getting it for free. Why should I buy it? It's just,
Right.
it's always the folks who aren't following you who find you and then buy something. So the two don't add up, but I get where publishers are at, I guess.
Right.
Always funny. All right. Well, hey, yeah, certainly don't tell us if it's private. This doesn't come out for a while though. So, I mean, I don't know how long your publisher's going to take to
Yeah.
get the word out.
Well,
So,
I have my kickoff meeting with them, so we'll see. I have my kickoff meeting for this afternoon, so I may have to shoot you an email after, just to know, because you sign these contracts and stuff, and it starts getting weird. Because I'm like, well, I'm a guy. I'm so transparent. I'll tell you anything. But then I had to start thinking about that. My brother actually is the one who corrected me. He's like, "Hey man, you gotta pay attention to what's actually written in the contract." I was like, "Oh yeah, I guess that is right. Yeah, whatever, man." So yeah, we'll see. After the kickoff meeting, I'll get some clarity, and I'll probably just shoot you an email and let you know.
okay. That's awesome, man. We're at powerofman@gmail.com. So that's
Absolutely.
our straight through email. And that's for everybody else who's listening. Powerman@gmail.com. Contact us anytime. So at Powerman on Instagram. Look us up. But no, that's perfect, man. I love what you're doing here. And I love the theme and the theory and everything behind it. You seem very willing to talk about, your faith and your story and that whole thing. Um, you did mention one thing here I wanted to kind of clarify. You said parenting advocate. And so I'm just curious where that comes from. What is there a story there? What are you advocating for or against and what is it about parenting that made you want to do that?
Absolutely. So, one of the things that, speaking of publishers, they told me when I was writing children's books, and again, I told you why I wrote it for adults to sit down with children and guide them. One of the biggest critiques that I got from the mainstream publishers is that children should pick up the books themselves and they shouldn't be told exactly what to do. You want them to basically come upon an answer, explore themselves, and think through things. And I think that's the problem. Number one, they don't have context in this world. And so now what I'm trying to do is add the mentorship and guidance back into parenting. Make sure that parents are actually sitting down and guiding their children. It was something that was very strange to me in a way, but then when you start actually, I started reading about it because I was like, that doesn't even, to me, that doesn't, these things don't equal up. Because I know as a young child, even as a teenager, let me scratch that. Today, I still talk to my dad and get advice from him. I still get guidance and mentorship from my dad. And I have three children. I've been adulting, if you will, for what, 15 years by myself out of college. And it's just, it's been a part of my life, but yet I still go back to him for mentorship and guidance. So where do we design this model to where we just want to put our children in positions to where they just learn for themselves? They come to a conclusion. No, at some point we have to provide them some kind of boundaries, some kind of rules, and something to help them go through life and understand what's right and what's wrong, or what could possibly work and what wouldn't work. No, we don't want to stifle their creative thinking. But we do want to help them understand how to form those thoughts, create those experiences so they can form thoughts and grow. And so that's what I mean by parenting advocate. It's literally just getting the parent back into their child's life, get into their space, and get into, you as fathers, we love, my dad would love saying it. He's like, last I checked, I pay the bills here. So that's my room. You lock the door, that's fine. That's cute. You can lock your door. But if I want to come in that room, I'm coming because I paid for that room. Every
That's right.
inch of this house I paid for. That's my dad told me. And that's the reason he's saying that is to remind us that, hey, I'm in your space. Like you can't shut me out. And I think that's one of the things. If you need to have momentary moments where you go away because your tempers are flaring, I get it. But it shouldn't be, hey, go take this iPad or go take this whatever it is and just go figure it out for yourself. I just don't want to deal with that right now. No, that's what I mean by advocate for parenting. It's getting back into our children's spaces, getting back into the business of mentoring children and guiding them and teaching them, helping to, we're not all experts in education and topics. And even now, there's times that my children, they tell me I need to solve a math problem. And I'm like, I cannot solve the problem that the teacher taught, the way the teacher taught you to. Here's 2 + 2 = 4. Just accept it. I have no idea how they're teaching it right now. That's okay. But at least sitting down and trying to work with them is our role as parents. And that's what I mean. It's just reestablishing that role. I don't know where it changed or how it changed. I would blame, this is one thing, as much as I love to take credit as being the best, I may have to blame my generation for coming through and shifting that dynamic. But we're just trying to get back to where we are actually sitting down with our children and guiding them.
Yeah, I'm really glad I asked you that question because that's a very powerful answer. The the from the publishing standpoint, and I don't mind saying this on my show, the only way to get your message into the head of the kids without the parents, filtering it through, is to get the parent out of the room.
Yeah,
And once you get the parent out of the room and you can communicate directly with the kid, you can fill their head with all kinds of nonsense,
that's right.
which is exactly what's been going on here for a very, very long time. So
Precisely.
I applaud you for standing up and going, wait a minute, hold on. That's not how this needs to go with my book. Way to go. Way to
Thank
go.
you.
Good for you. All right. Man, really loving everything that I'm seeing here. The, so the book, Lead Last, any idea when that's coming out, or is that all part of am I just pushing too hard? When,
No, you're fine.
is that the meeting you have today?
That is the meeting I'm having today. Hopefully, plan is spring of 2026. That's the goal. Either winter or spring of 2026. At this point, I don't get to determine it. I wanted it either fall or January of 26. So we'll see if I can get it out there early. But again, they're going to determine that future. That is the downside to not self-publishing is that you can't just say when you want to do something and just execute.
Right.
Uh,
Okay.
Hopefully we're thinking winter or spring of 2026. So hope within the next 6 to 9 months.
Wonderful. All right. So we got children's books. We've got adult leadership books. We've got the Parent-Child Connect. You've got free resources online to bring parents and kids together and help teachers, with the same stuff. Um, you're a former Marine, man, and I mean, you talk about leadership. So this is not the whole plan.
Right.
There's more, right?
Absolutely. So I just want to, so there's a couple things I want to correct. There's no such thing as a former Marine. But then secondly,
I
I'm actually
apologize. I know that already. All my other Marines, I'm sorry. I know that already.
No, it's
Okay.
okay, guys. I got you. That's what we did. It's our 250th anniversary. We can't let people go around talking about former Marines. We just at this point, Marines are going to take over the world and just start saying whatever we want because it's 250. Next year, we won't have that luxury.
All right, Marine.
But
Gotcha.
I'm also I'm also active duty right now. So I still do active duty. In fact, right now I'm at Command and Staff College, excuse me, at Marine Corps University, and that's where. We're actually learning a lot more, and I love the model of the school because they're teaching us how to think critically. They're teaching us how to do creative thinking. They're not specifically, especially as so I'm a major now, I'm a field grade officer. So they're no longer teaching us like tactics and exactly what we need to think. They're guiding us along the way of understanding how to think strategically and understanding how everything that we say now as company men, as representatives of the organization impacts sometimes strategic missions. So it's a great, I think it's a great opportunity. This is the one I actually came to willingly. If you asked me about 4 years ago and they sent me to Expeditionary Warfare School, I went kicking and screaming because I love being out with my Marines and doing Marine things. That's just my passion. By the time I got to that school and the people I met and the network I got, it's I mean phenomenal people. So
All
it's
right.
been a great time of learning. So yeah, I'm still active. I plan on doing this at least for another about 7 years or so, and then I
Nice.
guess we'll see from there. Once we get to retirement point, and then we'll see where we go from there.
I appreciate you correcting me. I did not realize that. I don't know why I assumed that you were, former. I think because everybody I talk to is former military,
Mhm.
and now they're on to their new things. And it shouldn't surprise me at all that you're doing all this and you're active duty. So it's congratulations. That's fantastic. All right.
Thank you.
So let me rephrase the question. You have all these legs you're building of this, empire, and you're a Marine, okay, which tells me that you don't just put something out there and not finish it, not settle it. You've got a plan. You've got something you're working on. Looks like you're building your business out.
Mhm.
Is there, are there additional things coming, additional plans, anything you want to share with the crowd? Because I'm just curious about this stuff.
No, absolutely. So really what I want to do, if I were king for a day and had billions of dollars, I would build up the Ogunyemi Family Foundation. That's exactly what we have. And that's what we're doing to give back to the community. That was actually founded by my oldest brother. And what we do is we provide scholarships to young people from our area, specifically from Lincoln Parish in Louisiana, so they can be able to go to school. The goal is to get that to full ride scholarships and give multiple. Right now, we award two $2,500 scholarships, and what that's doing is number one, we have them submit essays to us, and we ask them simply, it's called the Wisdom, Strength, and Endurance Scholarship. We ask them, what is something that you've had, what adverse situation that you've had to overcome, and we learn a lot. I mean, the guys that won this year, it's just sometimes you listen to these guys, it's like, wow, man, it's immaculate to learn their stories and to see them grow. And what we're seeing now, is because we've been doing this for the past 7 years, we're starting to see our graduates, prior scholarship recipients, where we started off at I think at $250 a year. So if I were king for a day, I would focus on building that up because I want to also. The next one is to go straight back into my hometown and start a mentorship program. I saw one in going to Chicago specifically. It's called the Dovetail Project, and I love that model. I love what they're doing out there. But they provide a parenting class for young men between the ages of 18 and 24. And I was like, man, that's it's crazy. Number one, I fell into that category. And I would have, although I have my parents and the community, I would have loved to know because there's just certain resources that you can provide, whether it be education. Some of them are getting their GED out of these classes. Some of them becoming certified, and more importantly, they're sitting amongst peers who are going through the same experiences, and they're building their network of people who they can ask, "Hey, man, I don't know how to change a diaper. Can you show me? FaceTime. Can you help me change this diaper?" And they're learning financial literacy and all those things. So that's really the next level. The next level, or next step for me is getting back into my hometown and really now having dedicated time to build up these young men and give them another model because I can remember the guys who were there in our hometown who invested the time. But I really want to make sure that it's a big thing and it becomes the norm, that they get to meet successful men and that the streets is not the only option for them. There's other opportunities for them to grow and other opportunities for them to earn income and become better than they would have otherwise.
Wow. I'm so glad I asked you that question because, I mean, otherwise I wouldn't have heard about the Ogunyemi Foundation.
Mhm.
Dude, that's just awesome. I mean, you and your family, you guys have so much stuff going on. This is really amazing. I applaud every single thing you're doing here, man. I'm almost speechless, after some of this. So, for you to just be out there doing this stuff is absolutely incredible. And the world needs a whole lot more of this. And I tell you what, they need a whole lot more young men like you out there doing
Thank
it.
you.
This world would be a much better place. So, I applaud you seriously on that. Way to go.
Thank you.
Way to go on all of it. All right, as we kind of bring this together and bring this down to a close, it's been amazing talking to you and finding out all these things about you. And I appreciate your time. You've got a lot going on though, and I want to make sure that we didn't miss anything. So let me kind of give you the floor for the last minute or two, and or three, whatever it takes you. And let me throw this out there. Is there anything I didn't ask you? Is there anything that I missed? Is there anything we talked about and you want to double down on? Make sure that you really drive home, or is there just to leave behind, a nugget or a last piece of advice or anything you want to leave behind for our audience? Any of those things are fine. However you want to wrap us up is great. And the last couple minutes are yours. Go for it.
Absolutely. I definitely appreciate it. And you're talking about creative men that are making an impact. And that's really what this is about. So for everybody listening and watching, every man out there, number one, thank you for taking the time to develop yourself and grow yourself because that's the first step. Having these conversations and just listening and having the willingness to go out there and be a great dad and provide for your family. That's amazing, dude. Like you are doing a thing and you are part of the solution. So please continue to do what you're doing. And the other thing I'd encourage you to do is to start creating habits. If you haven't already, create habits. For me, I break that up, as we just talked about, four categories: physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional. And every day I wake up, I have the same routine every day. And I personally, I believe you start off first thing in the morning. So I get up at 4. I'm not saying you have to, but I get up at 4 in the morning because it's quiet and nobody tends to interrupt you at 4 in the morning. But the first thing I do is I meditate and read my devotion. That's 30 minutes right off the top. And that's me now settling my mind both for my physical, or excuse me, my spiritual and my emotional being. I want to make sure that my mind is clear and I'm prepared to deal with the day is going to bring. Then I go to the gym. I do 50 minutes of lifting and I do 30 minutes of cardio. When I finish that, I read for about 30 minutes, whether it be an audio book or a written book. I find a way to read or a podcast in a lot of cases. Find a way to learn something and engage my brain in a different way. And what that does is sets the foundation for the day. That means that before anybody else wakes up, by the time most people are waking up, I've already done and dedicated time to building my physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional self. And that's super important for all men out there. Just make sure you're taking the time to build up yourself so that way you have something to give when you go on to the world. You can pour into your children. This is a perfect way to do it by listening to podcasts and grow, but do what you can to get out and grow yourself because really, as Rory's already said, like we have the ability to change the world, change the trajectory of our kids' lives, change the trajectory of our businesses, but it all starts with self knowing that you are improving yourself and finding ways to grow through all the things that we may have encountered in lifetime. So, Rory, again, I appreciate the opportunity. I appreciate all the work you're doing. This is an awesome conversation. I've learned a lot, just like you're talking about. I've learned a lot of just from the conversations you have, and I really appreciate you.
Thank you. Appreciate that too. All right. Great way to wrap up. Really and truly. I loved all that. So I hope everybody got past the 4 o'clock because you might have said 4 o'clock and they went, what? So, but I think that they like to listen to the end. So hopefully we'll get that through to a bunch of folks. But I get up at 4 o'clock too, man. I don't do everything you do, but that's awesome. All right. I love it. And I love your shirt because that's one of the things we do when we rap every single time. I mean, I say those words right there on your shirt at every closing. So that's just fantastic. All right, folks. Leadership mentor, children's book author, parenting advocate, Marine officer still, and future author of Lead Last after he has his meeting today. And we find out all the secrets about that come out of that. And founder of Parent Child Connect. Absolutely amazing individual. Olaolu Ogunyemi. All right. Olaolu Ogunyemi. There we go.
Yep, you got
Got
it.
it. Goodness gracious. All right. I'm going to keep practicing this till I get it right. And then I'm going to go on social media and say it. All right. Olaolu, thank you, man, for coming on, for sharing everything you have, for setting the example and for setting that bar high, brother. I mean, that's important. And I appreciate what you're doing.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you. Folks, it's been another absolutely fantastic episode of Power Man Podcast. The reason that we bring such powerful men on here with such powerful messages is because we are united in hoping that you find your power and take it back from, where it once was, to become a better protector, a better provider, a better leader tomorrow than you are today, to become a better father, a better husband, a better man tomorrow than you are today. And the reason that we want this for you is because you matter. You have value and you're worth it. And at some point, you just have to believe it. Until next time.